Okay, I guess we are live now. So, hi guys, welcome to another video by Cracku. Welcome to the live classes by Cracku. Today, this is a session for the IIM Bangalore UG admissions test. So, today's session is on fill in the blanks. Okay, now the topic might sound very trivial, like, okay, this is something that we did in class 9th or 10th. The thing is, fill in the blanks can essentially be a lot of things. It can be about grammar relations, it can be something related to vocabulary, it can be something related to structure of the sentence. So today we will essentially be discussing everything everything related to fill in the blanks, like the possible kind of questions that we might be getting in IIM Bangalore. So yeah, let's get started with the session. Okay, yeah. Before we begin, this is a routine or a timetable for the upcoming sessions. We've had sessions on quadratic equations, logarithms, time, speed, distance. Today's session is on fill in the blanks. Tomorrow we have another session on time, speed, distance, and progression. Eventually, after IIM Bangalore actually releases the actual syllabus, we will be catering to the other topics also, like there might be topics like matrices or integration in the IIM Bangalore paper, so we will obviously be covering those as well. Now we are essentially covering all the basics that which questions from these might not be coming in directly, but we need them in like other places, like quadratic equations or logarithms, for instance. These are very important topics. You'll need quadratic equations if you are solving, say, a maxima minima problem. So like they have varied applications. So essentially, you're building the base here, and after the actual syllabus has been finalized, we'll just move from there. Anyway, so do join in, and this entire course is available for free on YouTube. So yeah, you can check them out. All the previous classes are available for free on YouTube in our channel, IPMAT by Cracku. So do check it out. Next, yes, we have curated 5 free high quality mocks for the IIM Bangalore UG exams, which we think essentially cover all the important portions that might be there in the syllabus, although we don't really know the exact syllabus yet. But these will actually give you a good idea about where you're standing right now, how your preparation should be in the future. About all of that, you'll get a decent idea. So go check it out. It's available for free on our website, cracku.in/IIM Bangalore UG mock test. So yeah, this is the website. All you need to do is, you'll end up somewhere here. This is the main page. From there, you go to mock tests. You need to register. Obviously, you need to register first. From there, you go into mock tests. We have IIM B UG mock tests free. You click on this, you get these 5 IIM Bangalore mock tests. You can take them, you can get an idea as to like where you are standing currently, how your preparation should be. You'll get a basic idea essentially. So do check them out. And also we have a WhatsApp group, a WhatsApp channel, where we share everything like the important stuff related to this IPMAT and IIM Bangalore UG. So you can join there. We are there. So like even if you have any doubts as such, you can directly ask us. Also, like all the important updates regarding the forms, if you have any doubt regarding how to fill the form, anything as such, essentially, just ping us there. We are there to answer your doubts. And also the good thing about groups is that you get to be around like-minded peers. You get to find people who are also preparing for the exam. So that way it's good in a sense that it's community building. You can compare with others and see how they are preparing, where you are standing. It's a very interactive community, so do check it out. The link is available in the description box. So yeah, go check it out. Okay, so now let's get into today's session. about fill in the blanks. So what are the things we will be covering essentially in today's session? First, so obviously we'll understand the various type of questions that come under fill in the blanks. Like obviously it's not going to be very trivial class 8, 9, 10 stuff. Yeah, so we'll understand what are the kind of questions that come in, and secondly we'll discuss the approaches for solving them. What are the questions and what kind of approaches we need for solving them. That is what we aim to cover in today's session. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let's start with what constitutes as a fill in the blanks question. So what can we expect when I say fill in the blanks? There can be two types of sentences essentially. There can be a third type also, which we'll get into later. Type 1 can be grammar or structure based. Essentially, everything about a sentence, how a sentence is supposed to be, if it is grammatically correct, if the prepositions are correct, if the structure is okay, like subject verb agreement, tenses, appropriate preposition, idioms and phrasal verbs, stuff like that, which essentially constitute the structure of the sentence. We'll discuss that. That are the kind of fill in the blanks. It can be something like, Hari dash after seeing the tiger. And in the options we are given Hari run, Hari ran, all those stuff. So essentially you have to identify what is the correct tense. If you know what the correct tense is, you know what the word will be here. It can be something about subject verb agreement, like Hari and Sham dash to the mall, let's say. And the options are something like is going, are going, all of that. So this is actually very trivial, but the questions won't be that trivial. We'll look into a lot of questions later in this video. So I'm just giving you an example like what the kind of things might be there. If you have problems or if you are not very sure about the subject verb agreement rules or the tenses rules per se, go check out our previous video on grammar and sentence correction. Usme I have explained in detail about all the rules which are necessary for the subject verb agreement and also for the tenses thing. So go check it out. You'll get to understand and then you can come back and watch this video. Next type, we can have something called vocabulary based. What these questions are, these are choose the best option from the words given below to complete the sentence. These are challenging because these are not just testing your vocabulary. They will essentially give you words which are very similar in meaning, but in certain contexts this works, this doesn't work. So you need to read through the sentence and identify what works essentially in this particular case, eliminate the rest on that. So that is like the type 2. Type 3 can be like they've given a passage, taken out a sentence and they've asked you, where do I place this sentence? So that is something which we will discuss during the verbal ability classes later on. But yeah, in today's class we will be covering type 1 and type 2 sentences. Now getting back to type 1 sentences, type 1 fill in the blanks questions. We've discussed subject verb agreement tenses in detail. So we'll just have a basic overview of like what idioms are, what phrasal verbs are, and then we'll move on to questions for type 1. Okay, so first we can start with some common idioms. What are idioms essentially? Idioms are a group of words whose actual meaning is different from the intended meaning. What I mean is, let's look at an example to understand better. First idiom we have break the ice. When we hear break the ice, it might sound literally taking, it might sound like actually breaking the ice, right? But this is used as an idiom. It means to start a friendly conversation and ease tension in a social setting. A sentence can be something like, the party was very dead. So Raghu decided to break the ice by announcing that let's play a game or something like that. So, breaking the ice. Very different from what it sounds like. The idiom meaning is actually very different. So those kind of words are called idioms. Here I have compiled a list of 15 common idioms. In no way this is like a exhaustive list, obviously. However, we have another list of like 120, 150 idioms, common idioms. If you want that list, you can actually comment, you can like ask us on the WhatsApp channel. We'll be very happy to send it to you. So, okay, let's just go through these 15 now. Hit the nail on the head. It means to describe something exactly or get something precisely right. Like Sita hit the nail on the head while she was describing this culprit. Like for the sketching, let's say, she hit the nail on the head, which would mean ki she gave a very accurate description. Once in a blue moon means something which happens very rarely, something that happens very rarely. I visit my parents once in a blue moon for the job, something like that. So like because of my job, I cannot visit them as much. The ball is in your court. It means it's your turn or your responsibility to action. It can also mean something like, in a situation like the ball is in my court. It means it is me who is supposed to act now. The ball is in your court means it is you who is supposed to act now. It can be used in various contexts. Under the weather means to feel sick. Bite the bullet. This is another one. This is, it means to face a difficult situation with courage. Next, we have a blessing in disguise. It means something which seems to be harmful, but is actually turns out to be a very good thing for us. Something that seems bad at first, but turns out to be good. Cry over spilt milk. Spilt milk matlab milk that has been spilled down, like fallen down. So it actually means to be upset about something that cannot be changed. Like why are you crying over spilled milk now? Let's prepare for the next exam. Something like that. Ki like I failed, so she's crying. So like I'm consoling her ki like there is no point in crying over spilled milk now. Let's prepare for the next attempt. Something like that. Next we have 9, which says cost an arm and a leg. It means to be ridiculously expensive. Doesn't mean literally to cost an arm or a leg, to be very expensive. Something which is ridiculously expensive, like let's say the new iPhone 17 Pro Max cost me an arm and leg, which means it was very expensive for me to buy. Let the cat out of the bag. This means to reveal a secret unintentionally. Like I did not mean to tell him, but I let the cat out of the bag, which would mean ki like I did not mean to tell him this, but unintentionally I blabbed it out. Hit the books means to study hard, which we do during exams. We hit the books very hard. Burn the midnight oil, which means to work late into the night. It can also mean to like, study late into the night, because studying is also a work of sorts, right? So during exams, the students burn the midnight oil, which would mean that during exams, the students keep studying like till late nights. Add fuel to the fire, make a bad situation worse. This is like a very direct Hindi muhavra, ki like aag mein ghee dalna, is like adding fuel to the fire. Something which is already bad, I'm adding on to it. Barking up the wrong tree, it means to pursue a mistaken or misguided course of action. Something which I'm not supposed to do, or something which I'm doing which will not lead me to anything. Like let's say there is a person in power and I want to get something done. So I'm like going there and asking him ki like, like flattering him and all. And he says, you're barking up the wrong tree. This is not my department. It means like, it doesn't matter whatever you say to me. This is not my department. I can't work that for you. So like pursue a mistaken or a misguided course of action. Like had I gone to the better person who is in that department, then it would have been a guided action. Misguided action, wrong action. And the last we have kill two birds with one stone. एक तीर से दो पक्षी का शिकार करना essentially means to achieve two things with a single effort. He not only cleared the exam but also did something. So like he did two things at once. Clearing the exam, he not only made his parents proud but also his extended family, something like that. So these are the 15 idioms, common idioms. We have a list of like 150 idioms or so. If you want it, you can like drop a text on the WhatsApp channel. We'll be very happy to provide it to you. Moving on, next we have something called the phrasal verbs. Now what are phrasal verbs essentially? Phrasal verbs are not idioms. Phrasal verbs are essentially a verb or an adverb also at times. With a preposition. What happens in this is when we have this structure now, verb and adverb plus a preposition, the meaning essentially changes. It means something new now. Like if we look at something like put across, let's say. Across means across something, right? Put means to keep something. But put across means to tell your opinions clearly and loudly. So something which is very different. Go down, let's say. Go down. Go means to go somewhere. Down means niche. Go down means like you are going down. It means your ship is sinking. It's not like literally you are going down. Something like that. So the actual meaning essentially changes. What makes it different from idioms is that in case of idioms now, they are very formal English. Like, you know, in formal books, formal settings, you'll find them. Phrasal verbs, on the other hand, are more colloquial. As in day-to-day life, when you are speaking to someone, you'll use them more. That is the difference. You will not find, you know, people talking where they're using idioms, generally speaking. But a lot of people do use phrasal verbs. Like I have here 5, 6, 30 phrasal verbs. I think most of you would have used at least 25 of them sometime or the other while talking. So, okay, let's just get through the meanings of them. Bring about. Bring about means to usher in something. Like he brought about so many changes, something like that. Bring in means to bring something in, as in like earn, it can mean like he brings in more money than his brother, which means he earns more than his brother. Bring out. Bring out means to publish something. And also the thing is, many of them can mean 2 or 3 things in different contexts. Just say bring out can mean to publish. It can also mean to like literally get something out. Like she decided to bring out the dog and let him loose on the thieves. Literally brought out the dog. And bring out can also mean something like publish. Like they brought out the book. Bring up means to raise someone. Like I was brought up by my grandmother. Like my grandmother essentially raised me. Call off means to cancel something. Like they decided to call off the wedding. Next we have carry on. To carry on means to continue doing something. Like, you know, carry on with your work. Like to continue with your work. Come across, it can mean 2 things. Come across means to like, it can be like she came across rather rude. It means like, you know, when I interacted, she seemed to be very rude. Or it can also mean something like I came across the plants on my way home. Like when I was going home, I saw them, I met with it, like I came across it. I came across this author when I was reading for the citations. Something like that. Come up with means to come up with something. Like they came up with a brilliant idea. Get along with means to, when you say you get along with someone, it means like there is a friendly relationship between you guys. Like I get along with most of my friends, something like that. Get away with is different. It means to do something and escape without being like noticed. Like even after stealing X billion dollars, the fraud person got away with it. Like he was not prosecuted. They couldn't arrest him. He just got away. Something like that. Next we have get over. To get over again can mean two things. To get over someone or something means to like, like I got over her. Like I no longer care about it. And it can also mean something very direct, like get over here. Like come here. Get through. Get through also has a similar meaning. Given means to surrender. Like the army after 5 days of battles finally gave in. So like they surrendered. Give up means to give up. Given and give up are different. Given is like surrendering. Give up means to like, more extreme. Like, I have given up on the exam preparation. I know I cannot clear the exam. Something like that. Totally given up. Given is like you are being pressured, so you finally yield, like that. Look after means to take care of someone or something. Look down on means to Shashi looks down on the poor, looks down on or looks down upon the poor. It means he disregards them, he doesn't respect them as much. Look for means to search. Look forward to means to anticipate for something. Like I look forward to meeting you in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. Look into is used something like, the police decided to look into the matter. Means they decided to investigate what's wrong and all that. Look up to means like I look up to him. I look up to Maruti sir for quants preparation or something like that. It means that I respect and admire him a lot. So I like, just look up to him. Put across, as we've said, put off, put out. Put out means to extinguish. Put up with means to tolerate someone. Like despite her rash behavior, I put up with her because she's my sister. Something like that. Run into is like meet someone, not planned. Like I was in Darjeeling when I suddenly ran into an old friend of mine. Like it was not planned, but I ran into her. Take after means to have a resemblance. Like it can be like, she took after her family members. Like she looks like her family members. Something like that. Take back, to like literally take something back. Like he decided to take back his statements, like redact, taking back. Take over something means to like, establish control or dominion over that. Like after the Battle of Plassey, the Britishers finally took over the entire of Bengal and Odisha. So that can be takeover. And turn down means to, it can again mean like 2-3 things. Turn down the volume, which would mean ki like reduce. Or turn down can also mean refuse. She turned down the offer, which would mean she refused the offer. Turn down can also mean volume, as I said. So like, yeah, going through these phrasal verbs, one thing you would understand ki most of them you've used in some context or the other. None of them are really new as such. Again, for this 30 is not an exhaustive list. We have compiled a list of around, I think, 150 phrasal verbs as well. So in case you need them with, and in the list we have like the word, its meaning, and an example sentence. That is the same case for idioms as well. So in case you want that, do DM us in the WhatsApp channel. We'll be more than happy to send it to your way. Okay, now that we've discussed the type 1K things, like tense, we know like tense should be consistent. The subject verb agreement is important. Verb should agree with the subject. If you have any doubts on those topics, please go check out the previous grammar and sentence correction video where we've discussed it all in detail. So, okay, let's move on to the questions then for the type 1. I think the best approach for verbal is doing a lot more questions, because how many of these phrasal verbs will you memorize? But if you do a lot of questions, you'll get an idea. And also phrasal verbs are important from the preposition point of view as well. Like if you see, the construct for the phrasal verbs is verb and adverb plus a preposition. This preposition can also be asked as a fill in the blank thing. Like, okay, if we had look, okay, if we had look, it can be look after, it can be look for, it can be look into, it can be look up to, look down on, yeah, forward to, so many things. So we have to understand what the sentence is saying, what it is demanding, and then we put the preposition. So from a preposition point of view also, phrasal verbs become somewhat important. Okay, let's get into the questions now. While going to Chandigarh, our car broke in midway. Okay, so in this sentence, clearly the verb is broke, which is break, right? And we are given 4 prepositions, so this is a classic case of phrasal verbs. All of these 4 prepositions make a different meaning when they are appended with break. Let's look at them. Broke, apart, broke up, broke into, and broke down. Break apart means to break down in pieces, like physically break down, ekdam like dismantled, dismembered, something like that. While going to Chandigarh, our car broke dash in midway. Means what? My car stopped working, right? It does not mean my car was like crushed and like it was in an accident or something like that. So broke apart is too extreme in this situation. Rejected. Broke up. To break up means to break something, but that is used in context of relationships. Like after 2 months of quarrels, the couple finally decided to break up. That is a break up. That is also not what's happening here. Rejected. Break into. Break into means to enter somewhere forcibly. Like the thieves broke into my house. Right. This is also not happening here. So you're left with broke down. Although if you knew the meaning of breakdown, you would know that to break down means to stop working. So without even going for like all this elimination, you couldn't like directly choose. The only confusion would be between break apart and break down, while break apart is more extreme and it means to literally break down, like in fragments. Like if the car was an accident, let's say, then it would have been broken apart, literally like away from each part. Breakdown is the better choice here. So option C is the correct choice. Let's move to the next question. Okay, time's up. And yes, Sia, C was the correct choice for the previous question. Let's look at this. This says fill in the blank with the suitable form of verb. Here we need to use a verb. Are, was, were, and is. These are be verbs essentially. Be verbs encompass am, is, are, was, were, and being. Also been sometimes people will say, but these are the be verbs. So here the question is on subject verb agreement. What is the subject in this sentence? The subject is a bird in the hand, which is a singular subject. Anyways, they've used a, so very clearly it's a singular subject. So the verb here should be a singular verb. Of these choices, are is not a singular verb, where is not a singular verb, so we are left with either a was or a is. Now this is a condition for tenses, like do we go for a present tense with is or do we go for a past tense with was. Here what we need to know is there is a rule for tenses which is called that if something is a general truth, then it always takes a simple past, simple present. If it is a proverb, then it always takes a simple present, like in all cases. So this, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush, this is an idiom, right? So idioms, proverbs, general truths, scientific truth, all of these will always take a present simple. Always, in all cases. So what we should be having, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. So option D should be the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so in this question, without a doubt, the widespread use of renewable energy is a key solution to climate change. However, it is not a dash, as efforts in conservation are equally crucial. The options given to us are dead ringer, red herring, silver lining, or silver bullet. So all four of these are idioms. So essentially we need to know the meaning of all the four idioms to be able to plug in the correct value. Let's start with dead ringer. Dead ringer means to be exactly look-alike, to be an exact look-alike. Like something, two things which look very similar, we'll tell them like they are dead ringer similar, like very similar to each other. Red herring means something which results in distraction. It can be anything, like the commotion was a red herring and the dacoits escaped. Like the commotion was a distraction and using that the dacoits escaped. Something like that. So red herring means something which is a distraction. let's look at the other two. Silver lining means to expect a positive outcome from a negative situation, like something positive coming out from a negative situation. And silver bullet means a simple solution to a rather complex problem. Okay, so now that we know what the four mean, let's go through the sentence again. The sentence is, without a doubt, the widespread use of renewable energy is a key solution to the climate change. However, it is not a dash, as efforts in conservation are equally crucial. What does it mean? Ki widespread use of renewable energy is very important. However, efforts in conservation are also equally important. It means that this is one of the keys, but it is not the only key, something like that, because this is equally important. Clearly, dead ringer or red herring here does not make any sense, because widespread use of renewable energy is not a distraction of any sorts. It's not an exact lookalike. So A and C we can reject. B says positive out of a negative situation. That is also not the situation here. We can clearly say simple solution to a complex problem. Option D should be the correct choice. Why it is correct? Because renewable energy, widespread use of renewable energy, they are telling it's a key solution. However, it is not the simplest solution, like it's not that simple, because conservation is also equally crucial. So that is why option D here makes the most sense, and option D should be the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so this question is also one of the phrasal verb things. We need to figure out the appropriate preposition. We have put down, put off, and put on. Put dash, he put dash his departure for a week. It would mean something which is related to time, right? Ki like 1 week tak he delayed it, or like after 1 week, something like that. Put down means to literally put something down, or it can mean something like the poet put down 5 lines or something, like jotted down something, like put in writing. It can mean that. But put down his departure for a week does not make sense. What is departure have to do with literally putting down or like writing something, है ना? So C, A is rejected. Put off actually makes sense, because put off essentially means to delay, right? So he put off his departure for a week would mean that he delayed his departure for a week. This makes sense. Option B is the correct choice. Put off, single F, is not a valid prepositional, not a phrasal verb. Put off essentially means nothing. And put on means to wear something, like he put on the clothes, or like I put on a few kgs, like I put on weight. So like to wear something. That is again not what the sentence wants. Clearly option B, off, should be the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so in this question, we have to consider something called parallelism. Sorry. Parallelism or parallel structure. What it means is, like, if there's a list of things, okay, like this or this or this, something like that, all of these or things, you know, or and things, all of them should have a same structure. Like if we write something, say Sunil likes shopping, traveling, and let's say he likes to go to the mall. So we cannot write and to go to the mall, because in this case, see, the parallel structure is ruined. Shopping, this is a gerund. Traveling, again a gerund. So we need and, to go will not work, and going to the mall. Again we want a gerund. So that is what parallelism or parallel structure means. Essentially, like if there are many things like that in a list per se, all of them should have a similar structure. If you have questions about parallelism, you can go check out our YouTube videos. We have a video on parallelism, so go check it out. You'll essentially be able to understand what parallelism means. Okay, anyways, coming back to this question, the question says read to not contradict, contradict not to contradict, or to contradictory. Okay, so we need to pick out which is the correct verb here. Read dash, nor to believe, but to weigh and consider. To believe, to weigh and consider. It is an infinitive. What is infinitive and what is gerund? Essentially, these are verbs which function as nouns in sentences. Infinitive ka structure is to plus verb, and gerund is verb plus ing. Like shopping here, it does not mean, it's not used as a verb. Shopping is a noun here. So those kind of nouns are called gerunds. Anyways, so nor to believe, nor to weigh in and consider. So it should be not to contradict. To not contradict also might seem, tempting, but it's not the correct choice, because to not contradict, here the structure is nor to believe, like the negative, then to, then believe. So here also we want the negative, then to, then the word. So option D should be the correct choice. B and A can be rejected because they do not follow the parallel structure. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is again a case of phrasal verbs. We have broke off, broke apart, broke for, and broke down. He broke dash in the middle of his speech. So we know we know there is a phrase called broke down, right? Which means to start crying. He broke down in the middle of his speech. So this actually makes the only one that actually makes sense here. Option C should be the correct choice. Let's look at why the others are not correct. Broke for, to break for. Break for as it is doesn't make any sense. There is also something called to make a break for. That makes sense. But again, to make a break for means to run away from something. Here in the middle of his speech, the guy is not running away, one thing. And secondly, make and all is not there only. So how can we infer this? So for is rejected. Break apart, as we discussed, break apart means to literally physically break apart something. The person is not being broken apart, right? So break apart is also rejected. Break off again doesn't make any sense only. So break down, option C is the correct choice here. Okay. Okay, if I see Ria at the library, dash her about the meeting. So I will tell her. It means there are four tenses differently. I will tell, would have told, would tell, and will have told. Okay, so this is something called conditionals, which we have discussed in our tenses class. So if you are not familiar with conditionals, do go check it out. So this is a specific case of the first conditional or the conditional type 1. What happens in this is, what is a conditional essentially is, a conditional is any sentence which has an if clause. So if this happens, then that will happen. If is the condition. So that is a conditional. So for a type 1 conditional, the structure is if plus present simple. So the conditional clause will have this structure, if plus present simple, and the main clause will have a future simple. This is the structure for a conditional type 1. If we directly map it here, if I see Ria at the table, this is a present simple. This would mean I dash her about the meeting. I need a future simple here, which would be I will tell her about the meeting. So option A should be the correct choice here. Okay, so this question is again a classic example of subject-verb agreement. So neither of the players dash adequately prepared for the tournament. So one thing that we should know here is that whenever we use neither, it is always treated as a singular subject. So although they have used players here, doesn't matter, this is still a singular subject. So because neither is a singular subject, it should use a singular verb. From the options, are is for the plural, so rejected. Where is again for the plural, so rejected. Is and am. Now am is always used for first person I. Nothing else takes am. So here it is not I, right? So am is also rejected. Is should be the correct choice. Okay, and in this question, the question reads, fill in the blanks with the most appropriate choice. I dash a book when the phone dash. Okay, so this is again a case of tenses. You have to identify the correct tense. This is one case of something called, one action taking place in the middle of another action. So when that happens, that one action takes place in the middle of another action, the action which has been continuing for the long time, that will be a continuous tense, past continuous, let's say, past or present continuous, both work. And which action is taking place in the middle, that will be simple tense, like present or past, both they work. So in this case, I dash a book when the phone dash. So this action was going on, right? The reading of the book was going on and the phone rang. The phone actually, the ringing of the phone took place when the person was reading the book. So this will be a continuous tense. So it would be I was reading the book when the phone rang, present simple. So I was reading the book when the phone rang. Option B should be the correct choice here. Okay, once again, you can go check out our website, cracku.in/IIM Bangalore, UG mock tests, 5 free mocks. You can go attempt it, understand, test yourself out. Now we get into the type 2 of the fill in the blanks. Type 2 of the fill in the blanks essentially vocab based fill in the blanks, vocabulary based, as in like certain words, a group of words will be given. We have to identify which of them is a good fit, like which of them makes the most sense essentially. How do we go on approaching these questions? First thing, we are to read the whole sentence. Read the sentence, understand the context and the meaning before checking the options. Like just don't get into the options first, because if you directly jump into the options now, all of them will make somewhat sense, because the paper setter is smart. He will not put something very out of the scope. So all of them will make sense. So don't do that. Instead, first read the sentence, try to understand what the sentence is about. Try to understand what is being asked in the sentence, what is the meaning of the sentence. Do that first. And identify what each blank requires. There can be one blank, there can be two blanks, there can be three blanks also. So identify what kind of word is needed in each of the blanks. Next, context clues from surrounding words to essentially identify what each blank requires. If the word needed is an action, if it is a description of something, identify the tone, if it is like talking about something in a positive manner or if it's talking in a negative manner. Let's say there is a sentence and one of the choices is conniving, the other is clever. Both of them somewhat mean the same thing, but based on context, if it's a negative context, we'll use conniving. If it's a positive context, we'll use clever. So context also is very important, because two words can mean the same thing, but they are used in different contexts. So we need to understand the tone as well, if it's positive or negative. Then what happens, in most of the cases, when you go through 1, 2 and 3, you somewhat figure out one or two of the blanks, okay, this is what I want here, this is what I want here, and then you can, based on elimination, you can figure out, okay, this is the correct choice. Sometimes it happens that even after doing all this, you still can't figure out what is the correct thing. Tabhi, check each option as a whole. What it means is, put all the options like in the sentence, all four of them, like all three choices, put in the blanks, and then read through the sentence and see which case it makes the most sense. The case where it will make the most sense will be the correct choice. Eliminate awkward or inconsistent options. Some options can be, let's say there is a 3 blank sentence. One option is there, both of these blanks perfect fit. Here it's confusing, like it doesn't make sense here. The choice for this blank doesn't make sense. So those kind of sentences, eliminate the awkward or inconsistent options and reread the final sentence for smoothness. After you've picked out a sentence, okay, this is the correct set of words that we can use, reread it to just ensure that if it makes sense or not. Okay, so let's move on to the questions. You'll get an idea like what kind of questions we can expect in these topics. Okay, so if we look at this sentence, this dash dash man was actually the dash manager the company ever had. So this dash dash man, we understand that both of these words are qualifying this man. They have to be adjectives which tell us qualities about this man. And this man, it can be positive or negative, not sure about it yet, was actually the dash manager the company ever had. Company ever had. This is a superlative degree. This is a superlative degree. What is a superlative? It's like good, better, best, tall, taller, tallest, like that. Superlative is the tallest. Taller is comparative, tall is the first degree. So here we understand this we need adjectives, here we need a superlative, because manager was actually something, the manager that the company ever had. Like of all the managers, this one was at the top in something. Now when we look at the options, you see most able, okay, this is a superlative, so this is still in the running. Best, definitely in the running, it is a superlative. Friendly is not a superlative. If it were most friendly, then it would have been still in the choice. So we can say that this will not fit, so we can essentially eliminate the entire option only. Similarly for compassionate, compassionate means loving. Compassionate, more compassionate, most compassionate. This is degree 1, so rejected. So we are left with assiduous, ludicrous and assiduous, analytical. Best and most able, both of them essentially mean the same only. Like both of them are painting this manager in a positive light. So here we get it positive, like he was a good manager. Now let's look at the other choices. So assiduous is common in both of them, right? Assiduous means someone who does something, like takes great care and does something. So let's assume we don't really know the meaning of assiduous. One is ludicrous, another is analytical. Analytical, we understand someone who is analytical, he looks up on data, takes data oriented decisions, something like that. Ludicrous means someone who is foolish. So now of both these choices, do you feel कि foolish man was actually the best manager we've ever had? Does that make sense? Contextually speaking, it doesn't, right? How can a foolish person actually be the best manager that the company's had? How can a foolish person be the most able manager that the company's had? So because contextually it doesn't make sense, we can reject option A. So we are left with only B. So option B is the correct choice in this question. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so in this question, let's read the sentences first. There are so many instances of one or more deer crossing the road or just standing in the middle of the road or else doing something. It is like the deer cannot hear the noise of the engines or see the headlights. So in this sentence, they're talking about deer who will be like, they will be like crossing the road or like, standing on the middle of the road or else doing something related to the road. We can make out with the options, all of them have roads or do something with the roads. And they're telling ki like, it feels like the deer are so clueless that they cannot hear the noise of the engines or even see the headlights. So here we want an action, right? Something that the deer does. Let's go through the options. One says jumping, foraging, bounding, and staggering. Okay, all of them talk about actions only. Now let's see which actually makes sense. Jumping under the road. How can something jump under the road? It has to be jumping over the road, jumping above the road, right? You can't jump under something. And if the road is there, below it is soil. So how can you jump under it? Illogical. So A is rejected. Foraging beneath the road. Same logic. To forage means to search for food. But like beneath the road, how you are supposed to search it? The road is something concrete. Or even if it's not a pakka road, it is land. So beneath that, how will a deer go and search for it? If it were something like, something which digs and eats, like an aardvark or like an antelope, still would have made sense. But for a deer, it doesn't make sense because deers can't dig. Again, not relevant, so we'll reject it. Staggering with the road. To stagger means to, let's say someone who is a drunk. So how will he walk? He'll be like, idhar chala main udhar chala, jaane kaha main kidhar chala, something like that. So what I mean is he doesn't have a definite path. He is like walking all over. So staggering makes sense in the context, but staggering with is wrong. It should be staggering along the road, like on the sides of the road, or staggering on the road, like walking around cluelessly on the road. That would have made sense. Staggering with the road would mean something like the road is also staggering, I am also staggering, the deer are also staggering. So this again doesn't make sense. It is illogical. Staggering with does not make sense. So we can reject this also. D is the only one left, and also D is the only correct choice also. Bounding across the road. To bound means to jump around. Okay, one point to another. So bounding across the road makes sense. The deer, they're telling ki the deer are either crossing the road or standing in the middle of the road, or else jumping around. So option D makes perfect sense. Option D should be the correct choice here. Okay, so this is one of those questions where we have 3 blanks, 3 word choices. We have to figure out which group of words makes the most sense in the sentence. Let's read through the sentence. Every day, more than 1 billion promotional messages are sent that are commercial and dash. Although dash have used more technology to stop this, dash finds ways around it. Okay, so reading this, we understand that every day 1 billion promotional messages are sent out that can be commercial or something else, attribute, commercial or non-commercial, something like that we want. Although dash have used more technology to stop this, someone has used technology to stop this, like someone of an authority of sorts, right? So here we want an attribute, here we want something like authority, like some authority of sorts. It can be the police, or it can be the government, it can just be authority, but basically someone in an authority figure. They have tried to stop this, but dash finds ways around it. Some group of people, they find way around it. One thing we can infer, that if some authority is trying to stop something and people are finding ways around it, it would mean that it is somewhat illegal, right? It is something illicit which is not supposed to be done, something like that. Somewhat of that sense we want a word, something like that. Okay, now let's read through the options, because we've understood what the sentence is about. First blank, and one thing we understand that commercial and something, both of these the authority is trying to block, right? Let's read through the options. Educational. Okay, so if something is an educational promo message, even if it's a promo, but if it's educational, the government or the authorities will not try to block it, right? Will not try, have tried more technology to stop this. Like a lot of technology has been used to stop this. This will not be the case. So educational, we can reject option A on those grounds. Similarly, if something is informative, there is not a good chance ki like they will try to block it as much. But still, information, sometimes it can be valuable, sometimes it can be not valuable. Let's look at the other blanks. Unsolicited, without permission, that makes sense. Inescapable, we are talking about messages here, promotional messages. Inescapable messages, like you cannot escape them only. Okay, I would say ki in some context maybe it makes sense. So let's keep it for the time being. Although dash authority, right? Regulators, governments, and here we have authorities only. Okay, so all three of these can make sense here in the second blank. So based on the second blank also, we cannot eliminate any option as such. Third blank, we want dash find ways around it. Like some people, they will still find ways around what the authorities like the government or the regulators are doing. They will go around it. One says this is promoters. Here we have advertisers. Here we have spammers. Clear choice. If we want someone here who is like, doesn't regard for the law as much, probably be a spammer. Advertisers or promoters, they will be people who are under the law, so they will probably not do something unlawful. Spammers, on the other hand, they might do. So contextually speaking, we can reject advertisers, we can reject promoters. Spammers is the best choice here for the blank. So based on elimination, option D should be the best choice. Let's read through the sentence with option D again. Every day, more than 1 billion promotional messages are sent that are commercial and unsolicited. Makes sense. Something which is commercial, paisa, unsolicited. I did not agree for this. Although regulators have used more technology to stop this. The regulators who are regulating all these mails and stuff, they've tried to stop this, but the spammers keep finding ways around it. Because if you want something unsolicited here, again, with unsolicited, spammers is a very good fit. So when we read the sentence, it makes proper sense. So we can say key option D is the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so in this question, we are truly dash to the many hands and hearts that have made this book dash. So, okay, this is one of those cases where reading the sentence, we don't really understand a lot, like what kind of word we want here. So, we are truly thankful, grateful, something maybe, to the many hands and hearts. Hands and hearts essentially means to the many people, doesn't mean literal hands and hearts. Within hand and heart comes a person. So here to many hands and hearts means to the many people who have made that made this book come into being, something like that, right? That possible to exist, something like that, maybe. What is the best choice for these is to go option by option in this kind of a scenario. We are truly obliged. Obliged can mean two things. One, it can be like, to legally or morally force someone to do something. It can also mean to be thankful. So we are truly thankful to the many hands. That makes sense. So yeah, we get a thankful here also. So D is still in the running. We are truly grateful. Grateful essentially means the same as thankful. So this also is in the running. Obliged also is in the running. But honored, we are truly honored to the many hands and hearts. Like we are truly honored to the many people that have made this book. That doesn't make sense. We are from the context, this book has been an effort of all these people and we are thankful to them. Honored is how? Honored is like, I am honored to be a part of this. That is not the case. No, here we are telling ki we are very thankful that you guys are part of this. So honored doesn't make sense here. Rejected. Okay, so obliged, grateful, thankful, all three of them make sense. So it all boils down to this second blank. To the many hands and hearts that made this book flexible, book becomes flexible how? The others are plausible and possible. Okay, possible makes the most sense because plausible, again, we are obliged to have made this book plausible. Plausible means to be, if something is plausible, it is like it is believable, to make real. That have made this book believable. We are very obliged, or like we are very grateful to the many people that have made this book believable, versus we are truly grateful to the many people that have made this book possible. Which makes more sense? Clearly C makes more sense. Similarly, make this book flexible again doesn't make sense. So that is the thing, like when you are not clearly sure as to like which should be the correct word here, just plug the words in, try out the sentence, see which makes the most sense. Here clearly plausible se to possible made more sense, flexible to doesn't make sense only. So if we read the sentence, we are truly grateful to the many hands and hearts that made this book possible. Yeah, this is like something of an author's note. Like the author is telling ki, I'm very grateful to all the people who've made this book possible. So option C is the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, in this question, the sentence has two blanks, each blank indicating that something has been omitted. One of the, okay, so similarly, we need to figure out. Shaman Kejriwal has said C is the correct choice. Okay, we'll get into it. सर IIMB के UG प्रोग्राम में तो सिर्फ RC आएगी ना? See, that is something we are not clear about. The curriculum or like whatever little info they have given us, they have said ki it will be verbal ability. So now when we talk about verbal ability, it can have reading comprehensions. It can have para jumbles, like 4 sentences are given, you have to identify what is a coherent paragraph. It can also have grammar. It can also have something of vocabulary. Verbal ability essentially encompasses the entire of English. So to say ki like sirf RC aayega, only RC is going to come, that will be like a stretch. We are still waiting for the IIM Bangalore to actually give out at least a question paper or like detailed syllabus, whichever comes first. Based on that, we'll obviously cater. And moreover, these grammar things, these are basics which you should know. Even in RCs, if you know proper sentence structure, like you'll be able to understand the meaning better. You'll be able to understand like a very long sentence, say like 50 word ka sentence they'll give in an RC. So if you know what the subject is and what the main verb is, you'll essentially be able to tell what is the action happening in that long sentence. So grammar is never, something, it is not useless in that sense. Ki like, okay, if RCs are only coming, grammar to nahi chahiye. That doesn't happen. Anything related to English, you should be knowing the proper grammar behind it. That helps in many cases. So do not ignore them. And yes, of course, if the syllabus specifies that we'll only have RCs, then we'll not have all these classes. We'll make sure that we give out the best material to you guys so that you guys can ace RCs essentially. Okay, so that being said, let's go into the question. The dash of new projects in the energy sector is dash not only on low cost or profitability of the project, but also on sustainability. So here we want the something of new projects is dependent, right? The something of new projects is dependent not only on low cost or profitability, but also on sustainability. We want something like dependent for the second blank. So we have dependent directly here. So let's look at the other choices also once. The occurrence or the premised is premised not only on the low cost or profitability. Premised means to like set around it, something like that. But this is not used in context of like physical projects as such. So of premised and dependent is a better choice. Okay, let's look at the first blank, the dash of new projects. The choices we have is planning. The planning of new projects is dependent. Okay, this makes sense. But vulnerable doesn't make sense. The planning of new projects in the energy sector is vulnerable not only on low cost, that makes absolute nonsense. So we can say A is rejected. B says the occurrence of new projects in an energy sector. See, occurrence is something which we use in context of natural things, like something which occurred in nature. New projects in the energy sector, that has to be planned. That has to be planned. There has to be detailed deliberations, like discussions what we want to do. Planning and plotting goes on. Occurrence is used more like moss occurred on the rock. We did not plan for it to happen. It still happened. It happened nonetheless. So occurrence is used more in context of natural things. That is why we can say the occurrence of new projects in the energy sector doesn't make that much sense. The occurrence of new projects is premised not only on low cost or profitability, but also on sustainability. That doesn't make proper sense. We can reject it. C says the initiation of new projects. Initiation means beginning. To initiate. Initiate means to start. So the starting of new projects in the energy sector is dependent not only on low cost or profitability of the project, but also on sustainability. Makes sense, no? Ki when we want to start new projects, that depends not only on the low cost or profitability, but depends also on the sustainability angle. This makes sense. So this makes sense. Let's look at the last. The starting. Okay, starting makes sense. The starting of new projects in the energy sector is possible only on low cost of profitability. Nahi. Possible not only on this, so doesn't make sense. One thing is, like, when you say the starting of new projects in the energy sector, okay, fine, is possible not only on low cost. So like atakta hai. It's like when you say it out loud, you feel like, okay, this is still not correct. This is still not sounding correct. So that is something here. We can reject D. Option C is the correct choice. That is the best of best choice among all the four. You can just pit the options against one another and see which makes the most sense. In this case, clearly C makes the most sense. So option C is the correct choice. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so in this sentence, everyone wondered how the travel blogger could go around the world all through the year and, okay, manage his, is there in all of them, and manage his itinerant lifestyle, iterative lifestyle, itinerary lifestyle, and itinerary in his lifestyle. Okay, so what does itinerary mean? Itinerary means, like, when you go on a trip and you have like the entire schedule planned. Okay, like 8 o'clock we'll get up, and then like we'll go to this particular site. Next at 10:30 we'll have breakfast, and then we'll go to this site. So that entire planning thing, that is called an itinerary in case of trips. So travel blogger itinerary makes sense. Manage, the thing is, see, what is the construct? The construct is manage his lifestyle. Right. Now whatever this word is, this should be qualifying or like giving us details about the lifestyle. So what we want here is clearly an adjective. We want an adjective here. In this sentence, itinerary lifestyle, itinerary is a noun. Itinerary is a noun. So itinerary lifestyle makes no sense. It should be itinerant lifestyle. This is an adjective. So B is rejected. A is still in the running. D says manage his itinerary in his lifestyle. Itinerary is not in his lifestyle. Itinerary is something which is related to the traveling, right? So this itinerary in his lifestyle doesn't make sense. D is rejected. A and C. A says itinerant, C says iterative. They sound similar, but iterative is adjective, yes, but it is adjective for iteration. What does iteration or iteration mean? It's like something which happens again and again. Like if you are someone from say computer science background, you will know ki, like, you know, this program has been run for like 50 iterations, like 50 times we've run the loop, something like that. So iteration means something which is again and again and again. So iterative here doesn't make sense. Why? Because if he's a travel vlogger, he's not doing the same thing again and again. I mean, like not going to the same place again and again. Go around the world all through the year. Going around the world all through the year. So when we look at the context, iterative say itinerant makes better sense. So option A is the correct choice here. Also, one thing we can understand that 1, 2, 3 of the words use itinerant and one of them uses iterative. So it clearly means that something related to itinerary should be here. Something related to itinerary should be here. Now the goal is to identify if itinerary is a noun, then what is its adjective form? Is it itinerant or is it iterative? That is the task in this sentence. We correctly identified A, so option A should be the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so in this question, let's read through the sentence first. The investigators have dash that he had leaked confidential dash information about the acquisition, thereby allowing associates to profit from the dash deal. Okay, so this he person, the investigators have found out that this he person has leaked confidential information, confidential something related to the acquisition for people who are not from the commerce background, to acquire something. We've heard of that in Shark Tank, right? Ki, like they acquired the company, or like in the news also, like one big company acquired a smaller company. So that is called acquisition, mergers and acquisitions. So information about the acquisition. So there was some confidential something related info about the acquisition, thereby allowing associates to profit from the dash deal. Okay, so this is a case of insider trading, right? Ki, like he's leaked some insider information which has allowed the associates to profit. So what kind of deal is this? Illegal. We want something which means that the deal is illegal, because clearly the deal is illegal. The investigators have discovered or something like that we want here, and confidential something information, the information should be related to the acquisition thing. Let's go through the options. For the first blank, we have announced, alleged, discovered and accused. Okay, first things first, announced is rejected. Investigators do not announce, they can blame. Announcing is something that is done by people of authority. In that sense, investigators, they can tell ki, like, we found this out, or like they can blame someone ki, like, they're blaming the person about something like that. Alleged makes sense here. The investigators have alleged ki, they've told like that. The investigators have discovered that he, still makes sense. Accused also makes sense. They have accused that he has leaked confidential information. Okay, confidential. Okay, let's look at the next blank. Internal information, okay. Important information, also okay. Insider information, also okay. So of all these three, second blank works for all of them. Internal information about the accusation makes sense. Important information, less, but still makes sense. Insider information also makes sense. So again, we cannot very clearly eliminate one of them from here. Let's look at the third blank. Illicit, enormous, dramatic. Clearly illicit is the correct choice, because illicit means something which is not legal, something which is not licit, illicit, illegal. Enormous means big, allowing associates to profit from the big deal or from the enormous deal. Does that make more sense? Or allowing them to make profit from the illegal deal, does that make more sense? And dramatic deal though is very easily rejected, because how is this dramatic, right? So we can say ki C is the correct choice here, but then again, let's just plug in both of them in the sentence and see which makes more sense. Okay, B says the investigators have discovered that he leaked confidential internal information about the accusation, thereby allowing associates to profit from the enormous deal. Okay, at some level I would say okay, this makes sense ki, like, it was a big deal and this person, he leaked internal information for this big deal, so that makes sense. Discovered also somewhat makes sense. But the investigators have alleged, they've accused him that he had leaked confidential insider information about the acquisition, thereby allowing associates to profit from the illicit deal. This makes way more sense when we talk about it contextually, because reading this we understand that the context is about insider trading. So if we can identify this context, it would mean ki, like, use related words, right, for the context. Insider, illicit makes more sense than internal and enormous. So while B also somewhat makes sense, C is clearly a better choice here, because it makes more sense, if that makes sense. Like, it is more appropriate for the sentence than B. So we can say option C is the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so in this question, let's read the sentence. Art can be dash because it encourages individuals to express their emotions through a creative outlet, allowing them to process complex feelings, reduce stress, and dash self-awareness. Okay, so art can be something like beneficial here, or like art can be helpful because it encourages individuals to express their emotions through a creative outlet, allowing them to process complex feelings, reduce stress. See, processing complex feelings is a good thing. Reducing stress is again a good thing. And dash self-awareness. Art can be beneficial because it does this good thing, this good thing. This also has to be a good thing. Now, self-awareness. For the second blank, we have disturb, enhance, mitigate, and decrease. For decrease means to reduce, right? Mitigate also means to reduce or remove only. This also means reduce, negative. Disturb also means, like it doesn't mean to reduce, but it is not like, building up. Enhance, on the other hand, means to build up. So if we want something positive with self-awareness, what do we want? We want to be more self-aware. So the positive word here should be enhance. So decrease we can reject, mitigate we can reject, disturb we can reject. The correct word should be enhance, enhance self-awareness. And that would mean that art can be therapeutic, which is a very beautiful word here. Much better than beneficial anyways. Art can be pleasing, art can be avoidable. Avoidable means something which we can avoid. Here clearly they are talking about the benefits of art. So if you are talking about something in a good way, like the tone, right? If you are painting art in a positive tone, then why would you say it is avoidable? So that way also we can reject. If you don't know the meaning of mitigate, avoidable to we understand. So that way also we can reject. Art can be acceptable because it encourages individuals to be acceptable means to like, okay, it's like not positive, not negative, something like that. But disturbing self-awareness is again a flag. We don't want something to disturb self-awareness, especially when the list has positive. We want another positive thing only here. So that way we can say option D is the correct choice here. Let's move to the next question. Okay, this was discussed before, right? This was on parallelism, nor to believe, to wait. It should be not to contradict. Option D should be the correct choice here. Okay, I think they've repeated it by mistake. Okay, so that is it for today's session. I hope you understood the fill in the blanks ka concept, like the kind of questions we did, like a lot of questions. So I hope you've understood like how to approach. We've tried to take one question from all of the various possible cases, so that you could understand what essentially they might be looking for here. There can be a third type of fill in the blanks, as I said in the beginning, that we will discuss in the verbal ability ka class, para jumbles, para summaries. So there we'll discuss it. Once again, a reminder, if you are not already joined in, please join us in our WhatsApp channel. All of us are there. So essentially, while watching the lectures, if you have any doubts in any subject, not just English, grammar, it can be something quant, something it can be DILR, anything, you have any doubts, you can reach out to us. And any doubt you have essentially regarding the IIM B UG thing, the program, we are there to help you out for it. And yeah, it's a completely free course. It's available on YouTube. So yeah, so all the best and hope to see you in the next one.